So this is what I know about holding space, setting a container for your evolutionary growth, your practices. It's a profound tool. And it's something that you do, you just don't know you do. Like you go into a meeting, before you go in, you stop and take a deep breath, like hold a space. You set, okay, I'm going to this meeting, I'm prepared. I do it when I'm going into the courtroom. I prepare. That's my container. And then I just let everything go. And I walk in that courtroom and you just melt into the moment. And then it's just like, okay, what's next? What's next? And it's never what you plan, because, you know, we plan and the universe laughs. Quincy Jones described it as, whenever I walk onto the stage to do a performance, or when I'm getting creative and juicy and writing, I leave 20% for God to walk in to that performance, to that room, to that space. He connects to flow. He leaves a space of openness to play and get juicy in. My favorite teacher about this topic was a conscious connection and sexuality teacher, a tantric teacher, and she said, you set the container, like with the space with your lover. Informed consent is there, you feel held, you feel, trust is there, and you just let the container go. We hold the space and then we fucking let it go. We get out of our own way. We get rid of our goals. We get rid of our expectations of what that interaction, that moment of pure intimacy can be like, or will be like. No expectation. No orgasm goal at the end. It's just play. You're just playing, and it's just juicy. And so we set spaces all the time without even knowing it. We hold a space or set a container. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's metaphysical, sometimes it's very subtle. Like I said, it's a breath of just a present moment. You get yourself present. You're having a conversation, you start to feel yourself heated. You're like, oh, I want to have this conversation. This is good that we need to like communicate about this and see where each other lands and evolve our seeing of each other to the next level. So, I'm going to take a deep breath and hold a space for myself so I can feel whatever emotions arise in me, not react to them, hold a space to witness them without judgment. Just witness their story, their truth, And that's can take a second or an instant of just getting mindful. Or a space could be a physical space. I created a huge physical space last month. I did a 30-day, I'm in the middle of a 30-day intensive meditation set. I couldn't go to an ashram or a center, so I did one on my own, and I had the fortitude just serendipitously. I wasn't even really thinking it was for that. I was thinking, the second wave of COVID's coming. I want a nice space to sit in for the winter. And it was a back sunroom that was just full of junk, and I just redid it. I learned how to put a light fixture in. I put up all these beautiful, beautiful plants to provide oxygen for me in there and to just create warmth and beauty. And it's like the whole room got transformed. It was so magical. And it was just in time for me to start this meditation set. It's funny, as you start to do this practice and you'll go on these sits. When I go on a 10-day sit, the moment I click the button to send in the application to see if they have a spot for me to come, like things start processing and happening, and I start to slowly clear space. Like it's like a reckoning of, we're going to go deep and we're going to dive in and we're going to get subtle and we're going to learn and grow and explore. And our practice is going to get deeper. And sometimes you get also things that come up before you hold a deep space like that, or like resistance and stuff. And it's good to feel that too, of like the resistance of, I don't want to hold that space, or I don't want to go, the ego and everything. So there's that whole aspect. But you can hold an actual, create a physical space. We do it all the time in yoga, in meditation. In meditation, we hold a physical space with our meditation cushions, so we can sit upright in our spine and stay alert and be more apt, more, hold a space for us to have more ability to come into a concentrated, clear state of clarity, concentration, be in equanimous with the moment, in equanimity. And it's a place of support. So we support ourselves. We sit on that cushion, those cushions. How many ever you use? I use 20 probably. And then we just let go from there and do our practice, and we melt into the practice and see what unfolds. We do it in the West, yoga mats. The yoga mat was created by a Western lady, and I knock it sometimes. You'll see that in my video where I knock it like it's a container. It keeps you in. And it can be if you don't explore outside of it and know that it's a container that was made for a woman who went. I love her. It's like East meeting West. So her guru was like, she's had a sweaty foot condition. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I know about it. And she wanted to practice on carpet because her feet were slipping out from underneath her, and her guru was like, no, we practice wherever. We practice on bare feet, on grass, on carpet, on whatever we're under. We don't get a special carpet. She ignored him, of course. That's what you do with your teachers. You evolve or go beyond them and learn something. I'm assuming she did. It's that old saying, if you see a Buddha walking down the street, kill him and then move on. Move beyond your teachers. But she ignored him and then created this carpet that came to this square mat that turned into this sticky mat, these little yoga mats we all carry around, us billions of Westerners. Every day we take them to a yoga studio and practice. And that's a great container, because it's like you grab that mat, you hold it, it's tangible, it feels soft, it's squishy, and you like, this is going to hold my space in the room at my little yoga studio I'm going to. And I put it under my arms, and that means I'm committed. I'm going to do this practice. And then you lay it out, and it holds a physical space for you in the room. Sometimes we get stuck and we put our mat in the same space. If somebody's there, we're like, oh, so this is why we watch containers, to see, are they also creating different habit patterns and grooves? But we lay the container out, and we know you sit down, and then you just take that first breath, and you're like, oh, okay, I've landed. And then you do your practice, and it flows. At the same time, though, that square yoga mat for the physical body just does it's like it deafens all the dimensions of, like, your body is so primal and can move in a billion different dimensions off that mat. So after I came back from my first meditation set years ago, I had the inclination. I came across like a 6 foot by 6 foot yoga mat, and I was like, oh, what could I do on that? And then I found a practice that was more explorative and primal and playful, and it's been so juicy. And it added, upsizing that container, or that space I was holding for myself, was beautiful. I upsized that container at that first meditation set. The little bit of yoga I could get away with doing, I got to do it outside, in the dirt, on the rocks, in the sand, in my quarters, wherever I did a little bit of yoga. None of it was with a mat. So I got to feel my bare feet and my bare hands and on whatever ground I was on, and it brought up a whole, the world, the earth was my container. So don't get locked in your containers, but know that they're important. Hold a space, or don't get locked in your spaces. We hold a space to say, I'm coming here, I'm committed to this practice, and then we let it go to allow whatever can unfold, and then we evolve to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. I have written a few containers on myself. Know thyself and love thyself. So I don't forget. Oh, that's what I'm doing this lifetime? Okay. So containers, or holding of a space, can come in many, 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 many forms and shapes and sizes. So over the next week, maybe, just look at your life and see where you where you hold space for yourself. And more importantly, where you're not holding space for yourself. Maybe it's, I have this issue with mornings. I've been working on this, of like, my morning gets away from me, and I'll set the time aside, like I hold the space, and then I feel like I need to accomplish all these things. That's another way we limit ourselves. I hold the space, but I don't let go in the morning. So I'm learning how to do that. Or maybe it's some kind of practice with your work, where you work, but you work from home now, and so your work container is your office, and it's gone now, so you don't know how to hold that space now. So it's like, how can I hold a space of keeping my work in this one space in my house and walking away when it's done? And how can I get creative about that? Of like, that's my workspace, and then now I'm home, so I get to enjoy like coffee breaks, and I get to enjoy lunch breaks, or I get, or if you can't go to a retreat, go out in the middle of nowhere and just get a little farmhouse and do your own practice. This is the space I'm holding. This practice, the last 3 days that I've been here, has been connecting to nature and meditating in different ways and just listening to great Dharma talks, and I didn't set any rhyme or reason or rules to it. I've just allowed it to unfold, and mostly the setting of container for being in this space is the quiet. So start to see where you hold and keep and how you play with spaces or containers in your life, with your lovers, with your friends, with your work, with your practices, and get curious. And I would love to know how you practice that holding of space and how that works out for you, and always happy to answer any questions. I wish you a beautiful day and a beautiful life, and thanks for joining me.